or slightly, but right. Wow. Wow. You go live up. You go why don't you have to face the camera is this way, so I can't get out far enough. Bruce, well smart. What you plan? That one. No. Okay. Right. Dress, right, dress. Oh, yeah, right. Okay. I'm going to read this one way so we have one for each of you phones on one time. So, presented to Thomas G. Kale, Bob Reed, and Michael Shute. Whereas having been designated qualified in submarines for more than 50 years, and regular U.S. submarine veterans in good standing, U.S. submarine veterans are proudly but extremely bestow upon you membership in the Holland Club. Your induction to the Holland Club is testimony to your years of honorable and faithful service to the United States Navy and the submarine corps. And quote, Thomas, granted on the 11th day of April of 2026, qualified in 1968 on the USS Quillback. Robert Bob Reed, granted on the 11th day of April as well, 2026. Qualified in 68 on the Haddock SSN 621. By the way, these are both forever. And again on the 11th day of April 26, qualified in submarines 1974. Flying Fish SSN 673. Shoot. So what we have here is we're going to read the Rocky Mountain Basin as well. I'm in the camera. United States Submarine Veterans Holland Club of Rocky Mountain Base. So our shipmates, welcome aboard. We are pleased to present your Holland Club certificate, hat, coin, and your membership card. Presented on this special occasion in recognition of your 50-year war submarines service to your country. Additional Commander John Jack, Holland Club Chairman Jim Irwin, and your shipmates take great pleasure in welcoming you as a member of pass these out to you. That's yours. So also I found out that there is a there's a dating site for guys their age now. It's called carbon dating. Let's see. Carbon dating. More guys. Now you can no longer claim to be younger than you are. Okay, let's go ahead and start the meeting. Holland Club muster at the Eternal Control. Oh. No, you're going to figure out.
Are we done? Did you get pictures? All right. Jim, can you read us the question? Please stand. I find you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty. Andy,
I'm filling in for the chaplain who's got a frog in her throat. Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to gather in this beautiful day. We thank you for the solemn celebration on Memorial Day of those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. We think of the crew of the USS Grayling, all those men who went down. We pray for those who are serving in harm's way now. We acknowledge the destruction of an enemy ship for the first time since World War II. We thank you for that crew, their professionalism, and the equipment that made that happen. Bless our time as we organize and plan and execute good deeds in our retirement and years. And I thank you for this Howling Club, for those men and the families they represent, and all the good they have done to keep our world safe, free, and prosperous. These things we pray in the name of the Supreme Commander. Amen. Amen.
the USSVI Creed perpetuates the memory of our shipmates who gave their lives in pursuit of their duties while serving their country. That their dedication, deeds, and supreme sacrifice be a constant source of motivation towards greater accomplishment. We pledge loyalty and patriotism to the United States of America and its Constitution. Please remain standing for tolling of the votes. USS Qualis, SS-192, lost on 23 May 1939 when she suffered a catastrophic valve failure during a test dive off the Isle of Shore. Partially flooded, the submarine sunk to the bottom, came to rest keel down in 240 feet of water. Commander Charles Bolton and Navy divers of the USS Falcon ASR-2 rescued 33 survivors using the diving bell he invented. Later, Squalus was raised and recommissioned as the USS Sailfish. 27 men lost. USS Lagarto, SS-371, lost May 3, 1945, near the Gulf of Siam on her second war patrol. She is believed to have lost to a radar-equipped mine layer. This mine layer was sunk by the USS Hawkbill 2 weeks later. 86 men lost. USS Stickleback, SM-415, lost on May 30, 1958, when it sank off Hawaii while under tow after collision with the USS Silverstein, DE-534. The entire crew was taken off prior to sinking. No men lost. USS Scorpion, SSN 589, was lost on May 22, 1968, while returning to Norfolk, Virginia from a Mediterranean deployment. She reported her position to be about 50 miles south of the Azores. Scorpion was never heard from again. The exact cause of her loss has never been determined. The probable cause was a battery well explosion. 99 men lost. In keeping with the USSVI Creed, to let us remain in a mood of reverence and respect. While we take a moment to remember those submariners who have received their final orders and now serving on eternal patrol. The Rocky Mountain Base, eternal patrol for May. Arthur October, 5/5/2007. William Irving, 5/9/2012. John Nash, 5/24/2015. Michael Boots, 5/21/2018. James A. Bradford, 5/4/2025. James Brunemeyer, 5/9/2026. Chuck Wilson, 5/22/2026. Please be seated, all in club house. Yeah. Can I get you to run that? No. Okay, so we're going to dive the boat. For most submariners, the submerged submarine provides a quiet and somewhat tranquil setting free from many of the distractions present in the everyday surface world. So keeping with that, we'll take her down to our regular meeting. Clear the bridge. Take her down. Dive. Dive. Okay. It's been a while since I've been here. I missed the last meeting. I had shoulder surgery done back on April 23rd, and everything is working just fine. So let's do an introduction, chicken dance. Let's do an introduction because we have a few visitors here today. So let's start off with Bruce Larson. Bruce Martin, qualified on U.S. local in 1971. No, we couldn't go back on the U.S. stock market.
This is Carl, SSN 650, 1973. And I'm here with my much better half, Claudia.
Very Claudia. Good game.
In 234 in May of 1932. Served on Henry Clay, USS Cincinnati, and USS Slate Pond. I attended a memorial dedication to the USS Cincinnati here a couple of weeks ago. Interesting. So they had a memorial out here in Cincinnati.
Gene.
You don't have time for me to stand.
Don't have me to.
SSN 606, 1966. This is your lady, is my number. My favorite youngest daughter.
Well, good. Yay. Jan.
John qualified USS Amberjack.
All right. Bob. Michael.
In 630 Blue, 1967. My wife was 56 Blue, Charlene.
Yeah.
I qualified some Hobart. Sorry.
Yeah.
Judge Bolton qualified on the USS Sea Marshal as a January of 1981, also served on the USS Daniel Webster as a Phoenix Spice Fleet. And I did newsletter. Qualified 1974, life, since then, 673.
Andy.
And everything associated with Deputy Warsaw Chaplain, Commissioning Chaplain of the USS Colorado, and retired Army Chaplain.
You want to introduce Myra since you can't talk?
Well, this is the first time you gotta stand up and introduce my wife, who is the base. We celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary this week.
Who are they? Okay, Robert or Dick?
Dick Vaughn qualified on USS Tiger SS 409 in December of 1964. Oh, no.
No. And Claire, would you like to?
Claire, we this button.
He's also a really important member. Dale. Oh, who got missed? Oh, there you are, Gino.
How could you miss me?
You're hiding behind Dale.
I qualified on the USS Dogfish SS 350 in 1963.
Right. Dale. Yes.
I'm Dale Mullen. I'm Mullen. I'm the vice commander for WD. I was qualified. That's right. Let's see, 31. And I be here today with the best looking storekeepers in Crab's Liver. It's just stuck there. I'm gonna pull back this is 424, 1968.
All right. Jennifer? Okay.
This is Robin, 407, and I think he qualified at 53. I'm kind of helping out with the tax for kids.
Hey, hello. Ray.
I'm Ray Savard, qualified for USS test, testing 426. Here in 1968. Keep the boat forever.
Robert Cole.
You already said my name. Robert Horscroft, my wife Jill. I've learned to say it first.
Yes. Yeah.
First qualified on the John Marshall SSBN 67 Blue on the June of 64, and my second qualification was on the John Marshall SSBN 632 Blue in June of 7. Dan Ballard, your base secretary, qualified on USS Henry L. Stimson in 1987.
Grant Day, I qualified on the USS Benjamin Franklin SSBN 640 Blue in September of 1969. I'm your base treasurer, membership chairman, project manager of the Colorado model sitting outside, and project manager of our paver project at Sloan's Lake.
Yeah. What God? Very new job, Grant. I'm Paul Leach, the base commander. My first boat was the USS William H. Bates. I qualified in 1974, so I don't fall over. And I'm with my lovely wife, Julie, of 23 years, right? I did remember. I usually forget. Okay, so we're going to go do our speaker right now. Robert Willis, who's going to be the speaker, and he's going to be talking about something called Operation Ivy Bells, one of the most covert, secret operations performed in the last century. And we do have a speaker set up for next one, and it's going to be, I got to put my glasses on, Terry Foley. Terry Foley. And he's Army, but his particular job when he was in the Army was he tracked and repaired and kept control of all the nuclear weapons that were stationed in Germany during the Cold War and stuff like that. So I talked to him for a few minutes, so he's going to talk about his experiences that during the Cold War. Okay, so we are still looking for speakers for the rest of the year. So if you have any suggestions, maybe July what? You have somebody? Okay, let me know. I'll let this pass this on to Robert.
Okay, can you all hear me okay? No. Okay. Hold on, your screen all right?
Yeah.
Make it better, but it's dim the lights a little bit.
Well, that we don't know how to do.
Oh, no kidding. How I'm pretty much. You don't know how to do that.
Get something over there. Bring for red.
All of them, every time we're talking about something secret, it always has to be a distinct. So here is the thing. Yeah, on the stuff I was on, we did do some of the stuff we did, and we didn't do some of the other stuff. But that is if we did do it, so we didn't really do it, even though we did. So, those medals being like your face that we didn't get for doing what we didn't do. I really, no, but, yeah, that's because we never went where we were, so we weren't there where we were, even though we weren't where we were. We did do the stuff we didn't do, we weren't there, not doing it. As for the boat we were on, when we didn't go there on it, we didn't do the stuff we did while not doing that either. Apparently, I'm not supposed to even mention U.S. talent because I guess I'm not allowed to refer to the House security, so I won't mention the U.S. talent. The other stuff, it's okay for me not to mention that too. So the bottom line is that while we weren't on the U.S. talent, we've been not doing the matching, not doing what we were doing. We didn't do that either. With this clerk. I have pulled this from the diary of 10th operations who they were petty officers set in class. So that constantly, when all the students following the successful completion of Operation Ivy Bell. The Captain James F. Bradley Jr. conceived the concept of what became Operation Ivy Bell of locating a Soviet underwater communications cable by using do not anchor here signs. Bradley grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and the cable crossing do not anchor signs he remembered were along the Mississippi River. He was a personal friend of Henry Kissinger, and he went to Kissinger to get the project underway because nobody else would listen to it. And international tensions were at a critical point, which may be why people weren't listening to it. Captain Bradley died on March 3, 2002 at age 81. Again. This is the cover of my book, Operation Ivy Bills, which tells the story in a fictionalized way, because when I wrote the book, if I had said it like it was, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. I'd be 11. But now I can tell the story and show you some pictures and we can get on the track. The entire DSSC Manliness program and the DSRB program were an elaborate private mills.
Can you repeat that? How many people saw the DSRV on the back of the tub? We had several on each coast, right? So basically he's saying that it was all a ploy so that they could do this particular operation.
The amazing thing is that the DSRV, the Man in the Sea program, and the DSSP, the Deep Submerging Systems Project, were all fully functional, fully funded, but they were all to cover so that we could take the halibut, we could take DSRV, and I'll show you a picture of that in order to do what we did. That we didn't do. Now, Don Craven, he was the chief scientist of the Navy's Special Projects Office and later ran the Deep Submerging Systems Project and the Deep Submergence Rescue Vehicle Program. His specific contribution to Ivy Bells was developing the design concept for halibut's modifications made the operation physically possible. The systems that allowed the sub to hover over the cable side and deploy divers at depth. Don died February 12, 2015 at age 90 in Honolulu, Hawaii. Sub-Dev Group, the Submarine Development Group 1, and I was the guy in charge of the test operation group, and I had control of all of the divers involved in the initial part of the program. The Mystic, DSRV-1, is now at the United States Naval Undersea Museum in Keyport, Washington. And it was one of two DSRVs that sits there just like you see it there. The Avalon, DSRV-2, is the Morro Bay Maritime Museum in Morro Bay, California. Most of my experience was with Mystic, but I have been aboard Avalon. I had the opportunity to take down. For those of you who are absolute engineering nerds, here's the entrance on both of the DSRVs. I'll leave this here for a moment so you can look at it. If you got questions afterwards, I can put this back up. Take a closer look. It has 3 pressure-proof valves. You enter through a transfer steward in the center valve. It's piloted from the front valve, and the valve in the aft is designed mostly for passengers. This will carry a total of 27 people on a submarine, capable of doing 6,000 feet, which of course helps our submarines, right? Because we can go down to 6,000 feet.
Yeah.
Between the 3 marking engines. We kept open, but under circumstances, if you read my books, you'll see there are times when we definitely suffered because of what we were doing. This is the USS Ortolan, ASR-22, and you'll notice here is the DSRV. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
And here is the PTC, the Personal Transfer Capital, and I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later. I served, among other things, on both of the catamaran submarine rescue ships. Here is USS. Here you can see one PTC, and here's another PTC. These ships were capable of carrying 2 PTCs. They had 2 saturation guiding systems on board, and they could also carry both DSRVs. These bars up here would swing out so that the total width of the ship was 85 feet. And it could lower the DSRV outboard or through a well in the center, lower and retrieve them. The system, remember, it was operational. It was designed so that you could take a DSRV, load it into a C5 Galaxy here at Fan Point on North Island of San Diego, and carry it to the nearest airport capable of handling a C5 Galaxy. And from there, it would be lashed onto the back of a nuclear fast attack and go to the site of the down submarine. We'll get some more details on that in a moment. This is the PTC, Personal Transfer Capsule. This was used in saturation diving. Divers are stationed inside the deck decompression chamber, or DDC, on the support vessel like a regular one of the catamaran is part. They transfer through a trunk into the PTC, and the PTC is lowered to the saturation dive depth, where the trainees exit the PTC and connected by umbilical that supplies breathing gas, hot water, and comms, and they conduct various make work tasks to get used to working at that. And when finished, they return to the PTC, hoisted to the support ship, and transferred back to the BDC, where they showered, eat, and clean clothing compressed. These 1,000-foot dives take about 10 decompression days. During my training dive with that PTC off of the Elk River, we ran into 8 of these guys. Well, I'm sorry, 4 of these guys. 8-foot Humboldt squid. And both of you have seen Jurassic Park. Remember the velociraptors and how they coordinated their attack, and they would talk to each other and pretty hunters. And these guys do the same thing with cows. As far as I know, we're the first ones to have been attacked by a bunch of these coordinating their behavior with color. We only saw 4 colors, but later on I learned, some 20 years later, as we investigated a little bit more, that they actually had 24 distinct colors and shades, which to me absolutely amazing thing. The size again, they're 8 feet long. So this is the sketch by my artist, Gary McCluskey of the U.S. Caliber underway with the fake CSRV on the chart. And you see the fake CSRV. Just a little bit about the guys who commanded this. Commander John C. Jack McNick, he made captain later, commanded the halibut from November of 69 to August of 73. He commanded the initial October 1971 mission and placed first staff on the Soviet cable in the Sea of Lukai. Captain McNick died April 3, 2015, in 81, younger than Phil Love in Charlottesville, Virginia. Commander Charles Larson later became admiral. He commanded from August 73 to June 76. And what he did was brought halibut in for the subsequent 8 retrieval missions. And later he became a 4-star admiral, SIGPAC, and twice superintendent of the Naval Academy. And he died in July 2014 at age 77. One of the participating submarines was USS Seawolf, and Commander John Webster Jr. became the captain later, Captain of Seawolf from 71 to 75. And this was the early Ivy Belt missions, where they again retrieved the data that were recorded in the pod. We talked about it a bit. He died in March 2004 at age 69, really young. Commander Charles McLean, later captain, also commanded the Seawolf from 75 to 78. He died in September 2025, age 88. And finally, Commander Michael Tierney, he commanded from 78 to 82 on the Seawolf, and that's all I could find about Commander Tierney. I mean, scoured the internet. I could only find about he commanded and that he passed. Well, we came across the Pacific. Here's the Bering Sea. We came across the Pacific. This is the Kamchatka Peninsula, and here's the Petropavlos Kamchatka, their big submarine base, which is now an amusement park kind of thing. So we came in through here and into these beautiful cots, and we moved along this shoreline as close as we could get, looking with periscope, and we finally found the do not anchor sign right here and determined that the cable went across here. To give you a little bit of sense of how things were, this is the after torpedo room. See the torpedoes. Here is the dive console. Here's the safe hatch which opens up into the PSRV. This is the image of the dock going up to take care of some matters inside the PSRV. Now I'm going to play a short video just so you can get a sense of what it's like saturated depth.
We're not hearing it. I don't hear any sound coming out. Well, I do apologize. I don't know how to bring it down.
Make it sound through the computer.
We're doing there. Okay, well, we'll just move on then. What you're hearing is squeaky voice. These guys are talking back and forth, and the squeaky voice is caused by the breathing of helium and the pressurized, just the fact that they're in a pressurized environment. And helium, like nitrogen, has a bit of a narcotic effect, and so their behavior, while they describe it as adult behavior, is more like a teenage boy underwater when they're not actually working on the tanks. But I can't hear the sound. I didn't know it was going to happen. This is not the actual sign we saw, but this is what the sign looked like. And what that said in Russian is, yeah, you got it. That's what the communications cable actually looked like on the seafloor. I worked with Gary McCluskey, and we worked back and forth until we got it right. And this is pretty much the way it looked. Now, I had mentioned earlier that John Craven came up with a mooring technique that allowed us to hover over the cable. Well, here you can see a mushroom anchor here and a mushroom anchor here, and the submarine hanging off the anchors about 20 feet or so from the bottom.
How deep was that?
410 feet, okay, to the keel. What the divers did was, this was the fake DSRV, and they would go from inside the sub into the DSRV and swing until they were equilibrated to 400 feet. And then right from here, they would go out and do their stuff, and we'll get to that in a few moments here. This looks simple, but it actually was quite a complicated concept, and it had never been done before. And it worked well. Craven did his homework, and it worked really well. The first operation was the proof of concept. We placed a small recording device around the cable, collecting some data and analyzing it right on board the helmet. We had a great. Lighting out on the name of the computer. One of the original computers, big thing with tubes all over the place, and it was built into the back cave of the helmet. Anyway, it was analyzed, and even though they were at 400 feet in total darkness, except the light from the basket, that's this guy right here. It's an ROV with lights and a black and white TV. The system worked the second time. The initial installation, they got it on there and everything got set up, and the guys, the UNIVAC, that's the name of the computer, the UNIVAC, the old UNIVAC. Anyway, they started bringing the skill in, nothing, zero. And the NSA boys who were on board, they just couldn't believe it. All this money, millions and millions of dollars, no sir. Well, it turned out that apparently when the Soviets laid the cable, they had broken the cable, and so they spliced it. And when they spliced it, they left a 6-foot pigtail sticking off the slice. And when the guys went down, in this image here, it looks kind of clear. You can barely see your hand in front of your face. They put the tap on the pigtail. And so it was no scene. They went back and checked it out, discovered that it was a pigtail, put it on the regular one, and then it really worked well. While they were down there, this actually happened. This guy, I don't know what kind of fish it was. It looked like a grouper, but we figured that it probably weighed about 600 pounds, and it really wanted to have dinner. It didn't hurt the diver. Didn't even function his, but he had to clean his shorts. Those anchors that I just showed you, we ended up with a large. Remember, this is a submarine at 410 feet. The storm was so ferocious, the waves were so large that fired the forward anchor cable.
We found ourselves at a significant up angle. We had one of two choices. Get the hell out of Dodge and go home and forget the project, or somehow fix. And so my guys got out there, found the end of the cable, and using ingenuity and what submariners and divers can do, managed to hook it back up and get it working again. That's amazing things. While we were tethered, two Soviet action-class destroyers floated around the general area. The one on the left is the Odarney, and the one on the right is the Agremoy. These are the two destroyers that actually were there. Sometimes they're not even knowing it, only 400 feet from us. We detected a Soviet whiskey sub. It was really a World War II diesel sub, although we couldn't identify the name. We think she wasn't in our records, or we didn't get enough information to identify her. But her job apparently was to patrol the Sea of Okhotsk. You know, that was the Russians and Soviets considered that their private domain, and they didn't want to waste nukes in there, so they just put an old diesel sub in there. And finally, he heard us at some point and realized what was going on. And this FOB dogged us the entire time we were down there. One smart skipper, because he was able to predict where we were going and be there waiting for us so they got there. Pretty amazing. Who's the most of them? Yeah. I'll tell you. We could only hear him at times. More often than not, we couldn't hear him. So once we had finished his proof of concept, and we had to go to Guam. Now that's a 3,000-mile trip at 5 knots. We went all the way to Guam. Here's Apple Harbor, and we dried off right here. And what we did was install skids on the bottom of the sub so that we could sit on the bottom for longer periods of time. And we attached a cargo net along, when I say we the yard guys, they attached a cargo net along the keel that could be dropped off. And inside the cargo net, we carried a 20-foot long by 3-foot, 16,000-pound pod, RPG powered, radioisotope thermal electric generator power. And then we put that all on the sub and another 3,000 miles to 5 knots through the sea of sky. Here's a pretty good view of what we look like. Here's the Bakefield RV. These here are the skids. And this is the old launch dome for the regular missiles that the Halibut used to fire. And the back cave is the area down in here where the internet computer was and where all of the spooky stuff was done. This is the pod, 20 feet long by 3 feet in diameter, 16,000 pounds. Imagine moving that from the water. The NSA guys had come up with a method that they thought would work. Well, they weren't divers, and it didn't work. Yeah, I mean, as soon as we looked at it, I took a look at their design and said, hey, this is work. So I sat down with back and diver, and we figured out this methodology here, where we had 2 lift bags at either end, a heavy weight in the center, and 2 lighter weights on both sides. And we balanced it by increasing or decreasing the amount of air in these lift bags so that we would keep it level, and then we were able to move it quite easily over, and we would keep it just far enough above the bottom that this weight is barely not touching the bottom. So we were able to move it to 50 feet or so from where the sub was hanging off through the cable itself. Yeah,
How long did you go down saturation diving?
forever.
Oh, they didn't have a time limit?
No. Okay. The whole concept of saturation diving is that once you have reached saturation depth, you can stay there at that pressure indefinitely. Of course, you got to do things like take a leak in the dump, and you got to eat and sleep. And this is done then in the pressurized fake DSRV. And you stay at the pressurized environment until the job is done, and then you take it back to time. So at 400 feet, it's about rule of thumb, a 4-day decompression to get back to normal surface pressure. Good. you can see the basketball here, and the water all looks clear. This guy, see this, and as soon as we moved along the bottom a little bit, the tide picked up, and then you couldn't even see your hand in front of your face. And any kind of storm was above, and every other day you had some kind of a storm. It did not function like this, right? It wouldn't have done me any good to give you an image just all fog.
We had a question here.
I'm sorry, did I go?
What's the rebreathers, Suba?
It's not technically a rebreather because they're on a cable, on an umbilical. So they're fed the gas, and then the gas is fed back to the cable. So yeah, it is a rebreather, but they're and the suits were slightly loose, and hot water was pumped along the spine, down the arms and legs, and then the hot water shaped out the wrists and out the ankles. And that kept them comfortably warm because the water was 27 degrees. And I talked about the storms, and now remember at this point we had the skids. So we're no longer hanging above, we're sitting on the bottom. The waves are still doing what they do, and it lifted us up and dropped us down right on one of the guys. On his leg. We didn't dare lift the sub up. It was, we had a really, really strong positive negative buoyancy, so that we were very heavy, sitting, pushing down on the bottom. If we had gotten to the point where we were neutral, the storm would have destroyed us right through. And so what happened is the divers had to dig him out. We used pressurized water and blew the mud and sand away and got him out that way. And he survived. He wasn't a happy camper, but he survived without any significant injury. So back to the chart here. This is where we came in. When we landed in Guam, it was down like that, and then 3,000 miles. Our next thing was to go up to the Shelikof Gulf up here, and I'm gonna give you another one. The Soviet test missile range was over here, and they dropped the missiles into this flat zone down on the bottom at 600 feet. A whole bunch of missiles, and we were down there picking up and putting them inside that carbonet that we brought along after we got rid of them. And we brought back a whole bunch of this part. They had no idea. While we were down there, we discovered a Soviet diving bell, 600 feet. And the diving bell was near the missile debris field. And the whistle, we heard him while we were there, and we knew that he had figured that we were going to, yes. It was just absolutely critical. The Soviets remained unaware of what we were doing, tapping the cable and picking up the missile clocks. The diving bell was on the bottom. We had to assume, because they didn't know we were there, that the divers were simply inspecting the debris field. But while they were down there, they saw our divers. We ended up having to take out 3 of them. Cut the cable to their bell. And our presumption is that the support vessel talked it up to some kind of a freak accident. On our way back, we found the whiskey on our track, sitting on the bottom. I'm guessing an ultra quiet listening for us. And we heard him. He didn't hear us this time. And so we settled on the bottom and flotedly dared and sent 2 divers out. And the idea was that we were going to stop him from following us. And what they were going to do was take the safety cable from the stanchions, here you can see it, wrap it around the screw. And one of the divers, he had a double umbilical, one that was long enough to get there. The other diver had to stand back. And what you see here, this is the basketball watching what's going on. Well, he pulled it off, and when he had just finished wrapping the cable around the screw, he heard noises inside the sub that told him they were getting ready to get underway. So it was time for him to get the hell out of Dodge. And that's when he noticed that his umbilical was hanging in the safety line. So he had seconds to make up his mind. What he did was pulled out his very sharp knife. I can tell it's umbilical. And as you can see there, the bubbles coming out of the end of it, and then he pulled and back to the fake BSRV. He had what's called a come home model. At this depth, and he was at about 500 feet with the tap. He had 4 breaths in that come home model. And he had about 1,000 feet that he had to cover. He made it. Quite a heroic, absolutely amazing feat in the fire. And when he realized that through his crew, he did what any intelligent skipper would do. He emergency booted the surface. So it was a good thing that our guy got away from it. And that was the last use of whiskey. I don't know whether he gave up or what, but in the meantime, the Soviets knew there was something going on in the Sea of Okhotsk. They knew that somebody was down there doing something. They had no idea what. They had no idea where. So they took every surface vessel, every submarine, air outside the Kuriil Islands, because no matter where we were, have an exit somewhere along there, and I had never going to get it. So here's what we did. That is a real fishing trawler. And we positioned ourselves underneath it, matched its speed, and he left. We left with it, but they never saw. You can see down here, you can see the skids, you can see the net hanging out from the bottom. This net was filled with the Soviet missile parts. We were limited to 5 knots. Fortunately, he wasn't doing but about 5 knots. I pushed it a little bit. We got out there. And finally, the image of the talk team. And a point of interest here. In 1980, you guys heard of Navy Chief Ronald Pelton. He disclosed fighting belts to the Soviets. He had a personal debt. They paid him $3,000. And he gave up the whole program, he thought. Later, they paid him another $30,000, so for $33,000. He betrayed all of it. Thing is, the only thing he knew about was the cable that I just been telling you guys about. He didn't know about the other taps, including the ones in the Barents Sea. In 1980, from one of the cable taps, this was just before the summit between President Reagan and Gorbachev. We discovered that it was in Reykjavik, Iceland, where the summit was. We discovered that their equivalent of our chairman of the Joint Chiefs plotting to assassinate Gorbachev when he returned to Moscow. And he was talking about this plot on the that we picked up. And so during the summit, Reagan told Gorbachev that he had something personal to tell him, and everybody but the interpreters left the room. And Reagan explained the nature of the plot to him. Didn't tell him how he got it, he just told him about it. Gorbachev actually left, returned to Moscow to take care of business. And from that point forward, he and Ronald Reagan were close as friends. The press, I don't know, we thought Reagan screwed up with taking off. And what I just told you. And after that, I see any questions, guys.
I thought John Walker was involved in letting, some of the information out.
The Walker spy ring had a link. Let me take you different. Pelton had a connection to the Walker spy ring. But this was Pelton's idea. It had nothing to do with Walker. They were as surprised as we were. And by the way, the pod, if you were to go to the Moscow Maritime Museum today, that pod is sitting there prominently displayed.
Anything else?
Yeah.
So the U.S. Marine was involved.
Yes. Archie was involved. In fact, Archie that came up with this information that Reagan used. First, it came into the program a little bit later. What much more sophisticated in terms of its ability to do these things. No fake DSRV, none of that. Yeah, she did a great. Go ahead. What was your name, Jack? Okay, do not have that in my notes, and I tried for hours to find out. And we got come up with this. So,
Okay, anything else? One more, Dan?
the time the operation improved until you were able to put all these toys on all of them together and do operation. Gonna happen. What did it cost? Billions. One word. It was worthwhile if you can tell us. Yeah, consider this. You guys are all submariners. How many times did you operate where the water was shallow enough that a DSRV could affect you?
Zero. Very, very limited.
Pretty close to zero, right?
Yeah.
Anybody thinking about it for just a moment would say, what the hell is this? The Japanese, the Indians, the South Koreans, all talking about DSRVs. Thinking you want they have their own program.
Okay, so let's go ahead and take a short break. First of all, I want to thank Robert for the time here. Yes.
The book is the entire series. You're welcome to go look at it. We're happy to go through the books.
Right. So he has books to sell if you'd like to look at them. Everything on the table over here is excess stuff that we have. Everything on it is $10 each. There's plenty of hats. There's plenty of coat, shirts and stuff like that. So let's take a short break. There's still plenty of food back there. Help yourself. The elections are for vice commander, treasurer, and secretary. The vice commander and the treasurer, Grant and Dale, are both said that they would stay on for one more year. My particular position is good for 2 years, so I still have one more year. Dan's going to have to step aside because the job he's doing now is just way too taxing to be able to do this position. Dan actually did 3 separate things. He did the secretary, he did the charitable foundation ambassador, and then he also runs this video project where he loads things up into our YouTube channel. So we do have one person who has volunteered to take over the secretary position, and that's Jennifer. Or draft. She is only going to do the secretary position. And then I believe Jeff, where's Jeff? There you are. So Jeff also said he was interested in doing the charitable foundation. Come to find out, he knows the executive board director personally. So that'll be able to help us. If you guys remember when we were doing our 15th anniversary plaque, it was going to run about $3,000. And we requested to the charitable foundation for a grant for $3,000. It kind of just hung there, it disappeared. And we contacted Dan, and he just think one email, and he had $3,000. So not anymore. It's only paid for and it's installed. Okay, so we have 3 positions. We have treasurer is Grant, Dave, secretary is Jennifer, and Dale is the vice commander. Do we have anybody else interested in doing the officer position? Everybody, we're going to go ahead and do all 3 since there's only one person in each position. Yes, Andy. No, they're not. Is that right? Is that right? Yeah. Okay, that's right. Okay, so we're gonna do all three at once. If you want all three of them, raise your hand, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Good. Okay, so all three get elected. What we're going to do is the swearing in will be done next meeting. Jennifer needs to get a turnover from Ann, and Jeff will get a turnover from Dan. Do we have anybody interested in running the video for our meetings? Dan said he's going to let us use his tripod and camera, right? And so all we need is a laptop computer, which we do have for our treasury. So is there anybody interested? And yeah, it's beyond my pay grade. So okay, so kind of leave that in limbo, and we'll try to see if there's anybody. I'll send out some emails and see if there's somebody kind of wanting to step into that position. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so if you remember, we've had an annual picnic every year. We've been doing it at Ruby Hill. Remember, we did it during the middle of the summer and it got way so hot. We moved it to May last year. And so in April of this year, we said, oh, let's just go ahead and set it up for out here, because this is a great place out here. And we'll do it like the third week end of the month. But we couldn't do it on Saturdays because they have their bingo. They bring in 100 people here at bingo, and they fill up the parking lots all over the place. So you wouldn't be able to come anywhere on Saturday. And so we discussed about the possibility of having it on a Sunday at 1 o'clock on Sunday. And everybody seemed to see that. So when I went to talk to the post commander about us setting up a date on a Sunday, we were told that the entire month of May is already been booked. And so it kind of fell to the wayside. So my next thought was, let's have it right after the memorial, because we usually have a luncheon after the memorial. And that's on September, what was it, 9th or something? I forgot. Well, September 12th this year. Yes. It's a Saturday. There's our memorial. It's a Saturday. So we couldn't have any luncheon here because they have their bingo. So our thought was, oh, let's go ahead and have it at Bones Lake. We were going to just bring in some tables and we were going to do a potluck, and the base is going to do hamburgers and hot dogs and the plates and silverware and stuff to drink and all that kind of stuff. But the Denver Rex did not want us to do it there around the memorial. They wanted us to go down a little ways to where they have a couple of pavilions, tables, barbecue pits, and stuff like that. The only issue is we were going to try to piggyback it onto our permit for the memorial, but we couldn't really get a permit for that particular area. So anybody who happened to be wandering through could park and have their lunch there and whatever. So, and besides that, it's a little bit of walk from the parking lot. And there's also no place to park the trailer, because we have it at the memorial. So basically, we nixed that idea also. And what we decided we're going to do is we're going to hold it when Tammy and Dale have their annual picnic in July 11th. Now, the last 3 times that we've been over there at Dale and Tammy's, the temperature hasn't been an issue. They have some huge cottonwoods. Is that what they are? The cotton birch trees. Well, whatever. They're big ass trees. They're really big trees. And they have a huge patio, deck and stuff. What's that? Oh, yeah. They got mountains and mountains of leaves. And it's never really been an issue because it's really shaded real much. It is north a little ways. I think we're further south. We're coming from the Bailey area. It takes us about an hour and a half to get to their house. People from inside the Denver area, it's usually a 45-minute drive. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it on July 11th. So, anybody got any questions, comments?
Why are you parking?
Yeah, oh, they're everywhere.
I'll let you park inside the gate, and I'll let you park on the street. All kinds.
Now, also, they have some of their friends and neighbors come by, which is no big deal. Lots of them, you know, great. They usually have quite a good turnout. So that's what we're doing as far as the annual picnic is concerned. Tammy, what time?
You know, probably eat about one.
Okay.
It should go eat them.
Now, it's one of the deals where the base is going to supply the hot dogs, the hamburgers, the buns, the condiments, some beer, soda, water, and then everything else will be side dishes that people bring, and desserts and stuff like that.
And cheers, we need to bring cheers.
Now, you can't bring a chip.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to text you. I can bring some extras. You got plenty of tables and stuff too? Okay. Okay. How many of you remember we were talking about the possibility of a big event going on at Fort Logan on June 28th? There was going to be all sorts of military organizations stationed and displayed at Fort Logan, and then the spectators would be driving through Fort Logan, or they would be walking through, and there'd be all these different displays and stuff. And we organization was going to be the lead military organization. The guy's name is Ed Tomlinson, and he had videos of us, and he was going to be pushing this right and left and all sorts of stuff. Well, he guesstimated that the cost of all the stuff that he wanted to do was going to be between $30,000 and $40,000, and he's been trying to get money from Jabs, American Furniture, and Phil Longford, and Elway Ford, and he tried just about everybody he could think of, and nobody returned his calls. So it looks like it's going to be canceled. So that particular evolution or event is not going to go through. Okay, Colorado remembered last Saturday. The city of Aurora has got a huge amount of military presence in their city. You know, you got Buckley Air Force Base, Lowry used to be there, all that kind of stuff. So they're really ingrained in supporting military and veterans. In fact, the entire school district does a whole week long of celebration at every single school, all 64 of them. The week celebration of all sorts of veterans and military people come in, and they treat them to ceremonies and breakfasts and all sorts of stuff. Well, they're the ones, the city of Aurora is also the one that does what's called Colorado Remembers. And it's at what's called Colorado Freedom Memorial Park. And it's right at Telluride and just north of 6th Avenue. Entrance if you're going into the back gate to Buckley. And they invited us to bring our float. So we had a pretty good turnout. We had about 8 or 9 people that show up. We had our float there. A lot of people got pictures and they liked it. And the lady that coordinates the whole thing, Larry Neff, was the one who introduced me to her. She said, anytime we have any kind of event, we're welcome. In fact, they tried to get us to join their memorial parade that was that morning. And we told them we'd have to decline because it was kind of short notice and we just weren't prepared to do that. So it went really well. And right at the very end, I had a couple come up to me, an older couple. They were probably in their 70s. And the lady said, do you do talks at schools. I said, yes, we would love to do talks at school. And so she's going to try to set up an arrangement where half a dozen of us can go in the auditorium, or you'll do room-to-room classrooms. You just a little talk about submarine service, a little bit about your career, and then ask questions. So, we've got a good connection with that. And then she also said something about that she lives in a 55 plus community that has 2,400 members. Majority of them are military or veterans. And she wanted to know if we'd be interested in talking with them. I said, sure. So hopefully in the next future, I'll be contacted. I gave her all my information, and we will go from there. Let's see. Stories. Yes, if you have a military story, if you want your military career or some sea stories or something that was pretty interesting, like Robert has, they have a Library of Congress is doing a project, and I've got the name. Her name's Jessica Hunt, and I got her number here. She's the USSVI, USSCV, so it's the charitable foundation. And she will coordinate all that stuff to do a Zoom call with you and submit all that into the Library of Congress.
Paul?
Yes.
At Paul's pushing, with a little bit of help from Jill, I finally did it. And I worked with her. She contacted me. We set up a Zoom call, and she was very good. She asked all the right questions. It was a lot of fun. Basically, I kind of told the story you guys saw here without the pictures, and then some of the other stuff I really recommend if you got something that's more than just routine, they want to hear from you, and even if it's routine, they'd like to hear from
And why is are included? You know, if you were married during the time of this service and you had some story to tell, we're looking for that. Okay, so the next thing was brought to my attention by Myra, and I think it's a really good idea. She belongs to a small organization of the Daughters of the American Revolution. You said 15, Myra?
you.
Maybe 20 total members. We're up around 75, 76 now. But they only have about 15, 20 members. And there is this website that's designed just for nonprofit organizations. It's called 100 Ants. And you can check it out if you're interested. And basically what it is it's nothing but hundreds and hundreds of surveys. They have surveys on cars. They have surveys on restaurants. They have surveys on service and thing in the world. And what they do is you sign up as a nonprofit organization, give them all the information for going to our account, our treasurer, and then they give us a link. And I'll send that link out to everybody. And all you need to do is you go in, and if you do, it's going to last for a 30-day period, and it takes you like 2 to 3 minutes to do a survey. If you do like 5 a day, they will pay us $1.80 for every survey. Their organization, with only 20 people, brought in $3,100 in a 30-day period. And so with us, we're 5 times bigger. If we bring in $6,000, $7,000, that'd be a hell of a boost to us as far as fundraising is concerned. So I'm going to do a little research to find exactly how everything works and go from there. Does anybody have any questions on that, or does everybody agree with something like that? Does you have any questions, comments, concerns?
Will the link be on our website then to that?
That's not a bad idea. I could put it on the website and our Facebook page. And like I said, Myra would just spend 10 minutes a day, actually 20 of them, and that was $40 right there that went to us.
And you can get family to do it.
Yeah, you can tank your leak and go to family, neighbors, friends, anybody you want. Any comments on that? Does that sound like a good idea? Yes, it's 100 and then a big X.
There a .org or anything?
It's just 100.
That's right, 100.
100 like that.
Yes, 100X.
Written out 100, not 100.
Yeah. You write out 100, then an X. So if you want to look at it, you can. I went to it because she forwarded me the link for her DAR group. I got in there and I did like 5 or 6 surveys of stuff I had. I did Ford, Subaru, Texas Roadhouse, and it's like 5 questions, and then there's comments. I never write comments, so I did the 5 questions and send it off, and then I made a $1.80 for them. It took a minute and a half or so. Now I brought this up to the e-board on Thursday, and it was also suggested to me that King Supers has something real similar, and what it is you join into their group. You get some kind of little code or a card that goes with it. And every time you buy something through King Supers groceries, and then a small percentage of it comes back to us. And so that's another potential of fundraising. And so because if you remember the honor flight, that's what they do. The honor flight does it through King Supers. And so that's another thing I'm going to look into, get all the details, send emails out to everybody so you can see what's going on, and hopefully we can get up some fundraising. Okay, let me run through the birthdays. Bruce Longer, you 5th today. John Ball, 7th. Bruce Marston, 8th. Michael Shue, all right, here we go, 8th also. Helen Pace is the 12th. Taro Rash is the 19th. Sandra Callier is the 29th. And then Myra, you're the 29th. Okay, birthday for June. Robert Willis is the 9th. And John Newcomb, you're the 19th, correct? We have a volunteer to bring a cake next time. You'll bring one? Okay. Good, we're ready to go. Okay, minutes. Is there any corrections to the minutes? It's posted in our invitation. No corrections. Treasurer report. I'll stand. Okay. You stand. I'm too old to stand.
Yeah, well. So, the month of April, Treasurer's report. We'll finish up on April 30th. We had total $276 of income for the month of April. We had $1,600 worth of expenses for the month of April. Now, what you'll see is we are about a month behind on all of our reporting because we're having our meetings at the end of the next month. So that's why this is April 30th. So we had, if you recall, we had $3,000 worth of income in the month before. So this is the expenses that we incurred. And just to give you an idea, on our base expenses, we had $200. The model, Colorado model manufacturing, we spent $300 on.
mobile maintenance on all of our memorial and the float itself, $168. The paver project was our biggest expense at $820. And that was buying the third order of the pavers that we have coming up. So all in all, we had you get down here, Paul Harvey would say, page 2. How many of you remember Paul Harvey? Yeah. So anyhow, we had a overall total of a minus $1,386. That was all compensated for by our fundraising and the paver project. Paver project has paid for itself and a little bit more going forward. So you did a good job there. Speaking of the paper project, mark your calendar. We have 2 dates coming up that are very important. We are scheduling with Parks and Rec to actually dig the hole for the paper project. And at our last meeting that we had, in sort of a planning meeting for this, we've selected Friday, the 19th of June. It's coming up 3 weeks. They are going to dig the hole for us. They are also going to supply the gravel to fill in. Now this is a 9-foot by 9-foot by 8-inch deep that they're digging for us. They're going to take away the soil and the grass and everything else that goes with it. They're going to come back and supply and install the gravel. The only thing we need to do is have a couple of people there to possibly help spread the gravel out, and then they'll compact the gravel. And then we'll put, and that's about 4 inches of gravel, and then about 2 inches of sand on top of that. And we hope to have that all done and leveled and ready to go for Saturday. And on Saturday the 20th, we're going to install the pavers. So what we need is 3 or 4 people to come down with square nose shovels and garden rakes, not leaf rakes, but garden rakes, so that we can just make sure that we can help them get that all prepared for Saturday. And Saturday morning, I'd like to have 1 or 2 people come over and meet me at my house at 76 and Lodge to help load the bricks into my truck so that we can then transport them down to the site. So they meet at my house at 8 o'clock. We can load them up, and then we'll get down, and the rest of people show up around 9 and 10 o'clock at Sloan's Lake, and then we can install the pavers at the site, and then do our finish leveling and all of that kind of stuff on Saturday the 20th. So 2 days. One of them is digging the site, so hopefully we'd have that done by noon, considering they're doing all the heavy work with a backhoe type scenario. And then our job is just leveling it, making sure it's fit there. So keep those 2 dates in mind. We'll take anybody's help that can come along, and so we can get this project completed. Once we've got all the pavers installed, we've got to nail down the retainers for the bricks, and the project will be completed.
That's the 19th and 20th.
19th and 20th. So the 19th, probably around, I would say 9 o'clock in the morning. And unless something changes with Parks and Rec, and then I'll let you know by email message if there's any changes. But just to finish off, getting everything, the whole finished, and then getting this to ground soon. And then on Saturday again, 8 o'clock in my house, which is 7608 Street. And we'll send all that information out by email also, so that you can see where it is. And to load up the bricks into my truck. I have a total of about close to 1,000 pounds of bricks and pavers to load it in the back of my truck, and then we'll move it down to the location. And I'll have a hand cart so that we can take them from my truck out to the actual site where the pavers will be. So. We'll have a map that we have drawn out as people have come in. We've tried to group them, or if you have multiple bricks that you purchased, we try to group you in a similar area. So according to the map, we will have the 4x8 bricks will be down through the center of the project. And then on the outside, we have a 3x8 brick. We have a total of 120 bricks that we're purchasing that are blank, so that these will have a sort of staggered. One with lettering, one with letter, one with blank, one with letter, one blank, one, splits. The map, we'll just follow the map and get it done. Yes, sir.
Is it gonna be, or is there a room for expansion?
There is room for that, but I think that we'll save that for another time. And just to give you an idea, we purchased bricks for $50 for the 4x8 brick. On that, if I purchased 5 at a time or more, the price is $19. If you just did one, it's going to be close to $50 for the cost of the brick. So we got a pretty good break on that going forward. So keeping that in mind, going forward, we want to have people that want to buy into it. Let me tell you, it was very dead as far as orders go. So I'm suspecting that we're ordering out for the moment. So if in the future, if somebody wants to, we can expand it. We can build an extra area next door, or we can take and pull out the brick and add in another one. So those options are there until we have a fully filled up. We have space. We're having to purchase 120 blank bricks so that we can fill in the rest of the brick areas that we have. We have 120 options of just pulling and putting something in a place, the same type of brick.
And that should last us 10 years easily or so, something like that. So it'll be further down when we decide to expand.
Yeah. So hope to see as many of you as possible on that
20th.
on the 19th and 20th.
The 19th, though, we're not doing a lot, so we don't need a lot. But the 20th is where we really need a good turnout. Yes, we'll need good manpower.
Is that going to take the monthly meeting here?
No,
That's the third Sunday or Saturday too.
no,
We're the fourth Saturday now.
So we'll get this done, and hopefully we'll have it done once pictures, and we can take them and go on. Again, the memorial plaque for this project, the 50th anniversary of the Grand Memorial, is completed. It is installed, and so that one's all done. All we've got to do is put the paper down. So you get that done, then that whole project will be completed. Thanks. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Dan, you got anything for the Chairman Foundation?
So I'll just say, sorry, I can log them.
Okay.
So we have a new legacy, or a new charitable foundation president or director. Her name is Eileen Davis. And she's been sending out emails to all the ambassadors and asking us to talk to our bases about specific funds within the legacy giving. So legacy giving is one of them. And I'm just going to read what she basically wrote here. So
Many of us spent years serving in one of the most demanding and close-knit communities in the military. We learned sacrifice, commitment, teamwork, the importance of taking care of one another. Those values did not end when we retired or left active duty. They continue today through the work we do in our bases, our communities, and through the charitable foundation. The Legacy Fund is one way we can ensure the spirit of service continues long after we are gone. What is the Legacy Fund? It is a permanent endowment fund within the USSVI Charitable Foundation. The endowment is actually a pretty simple concept. It is designed so that donations are invested and protected over time. Instead of spending the original donation itself, the foundation primarily uses the earnings generated from those investments to support charitable programs and operations. What this means is a single contribution made today can continue helping people not just this year, but for generations into the future. Unlike a one-time donation that is spent once and gone, the Legacy Fund is built for long-term sustainability. It creates ongoing support for the mission of the charitable foundation. The support may help veterans in need, scholarship programs, foundation operations, future charitable projects, outreach efforts, long-term stability of the organization. This is about preserving the future health of the foundation so it can continue serving submarine veterans and their families for decades from now. Another important point is that members can also establish specifically designated funds if they wish to support a particular cause or purpose within the foundation. Larger gifts can sometimes be directed towards areas that are especially meaningful to the donor and to their family. I'm not going to read through all of this, but I'll send this out. I'll send this to Paul and he can send it out. So, but anyway, Legacy Fund is, I think I've talked about it before, but it's a really good way to perpetuate your memory and for future generations to come supporting other veterans. So, thank you.
Tammy, you got anything? So remember, stuff on the table here is $10 each, and some pretty good hats. You sold some of the stuff, right? They're pretty good. Okay. Patrick Krause is not here. He's the Facebook and webmaster. Jennifer, you want to give us a little bit about your next coming capture case?
It's June Thursday. It's really soft. For 12 minutes. And start it. Happens first. Thank you for the information. I have to say you can't go, it's right on the stretch it, but we have to split this 2 days before the 11th. So if you want me to name on your sound, you already let me know. And it's our biggest event usually, and it's a lot of fun, so I can't answer a lot of submarine questions. I count on you guys for that, so.
Yeah. So last time we really had a good turnout, and
Yeah.
we had about 10 or 11 people. We went through 60 bears and 60 hacks, and we were on their television station. Grant and I were interviewed, and it was transmitted throughout the hospital. So it went really good. So what time do you want us there? 12:30.
Thursday. The big ones, they're all over here, and they're ready, the kids are from the gloves, yeah.
Okay. Bruce.
Yeah.
Never allowed to take pictures.
A lot of the kids, us, we're nothing super bad, but you know, kids, now, when the grants place, they encourage those, we put those on our website.
Yeah.
You gotta have a specific donation slip.
Yeah.
In different states too.
Yeah, so it's.
Yeah, I'll ask there, they don't want, and we can't bring in food in there, where other facilities, we can bring in like recipes and bars, individually wrapped and store bought things. So no food and no photos at this place.
We can take pictures of us, but we
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, good. So how many guys do you have signed up? About 10 or so?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, yeah.
10. All right. It's a good thing. Michael Shue, if you thought bingo was fun, You gotta come to one of these. They're a kick in the pants. Okay, bingo is going to be June 17th. That's a Wednesday, 1000. We'll come out to that. She came out to the last one and enjoyed it. And then I'll be able to make this one now too. So I'm not a gimp anymore. Um, Parades. We are signed up and ready to go for the Estes Park Parade. It's going to be July 6th. A group of about 8 or 9 of us are going to go up the day before and get a hotel room. We will be meeting at the fairgrounds between 8 and 8:30 so that we can set up the float. And then once everybody's on board, we will go to the staging area and the parade starts at 10. And so we're all set and ready for that. The Boulder County Longmont is the next one, August 1st. I don't know, Jeff, have you signed up for any of these things yet?
No.
Okay. The Littleton one is August 15th. Now the Broomfield, remember that one we have to sign up like 2 months before. As soon as it gets open, that's September 19th. Now we were going to do the Sheridan this year on Jeff's wanting us to participate because the lady's been real persistent. It happens to fall on our September meeting. And we really can't move the meeting because they have it all set up for breakfast. And so I think we're going to have to cancel Sheridan again. Okay, UBC, I do not have anything to put out. Memorial, we've already gone through all the stuff we've done. I did receive an email from Dan Moss. How many people remember Dan Moss? He's on in the Springs now, I think, in Orange, or is it Albuquerque? I can't remember which one. He was up here this weekend or last weekend, and he went to the memorial, and he said he was very impressed with all the work that we've done for that memorial, how great a shape it is. So he sent me that email. We already talked about the float. How many people gone out and seen the new float? It is awesome. So when you leave here, spend a couple of minutes going out and taking a look. Okay, social, we talked about July 11th is our annual picnic. Mr. JJ, you got anything about Colorado?
We don't, we have dates that we are teaching our folks go out and visit them. June, and there's just picnic, one ceremony that presenting is that we arrives this time. So, that's not all we
Okay, Reach Across America, we're still another couple of months away from ordering that. That we've had 25 now or 26 because we've got Bradford and Brunemeyer and Wilson too, I think. We're trying to research Chuck Wilson. He passed last week. He was really active in the 90s and early 2000s. But he was one of the originals, but then he's been out of it all for about 10 years or so. We can't even find him on the website. Huh?
Try and look in your little box of cards.
Yes, I'm going to bring those box of cards to you next meeting, right, Gene? Okay. Does everybody have an internal patrol card? Stick in your wallet so that if you ask, your family will find it and know how to contact us. I got an email from Cal Poland. He lives up in Estes Park for the new guys that don't know him. He was actually a submarine qualified doctor who specialized in diving. He did a lot of research on how the effects of diving affects the body and stuff like that. Um, anyway, he's like 84, 85. He used to drive down from Estes Park to our meetings, but he hasn't been doing that for the last 2 years or so. And then Bill Anderson, you guys remember, not Bill Anderson, but Bill Allen, the miniature train guy that brought all his trains there a couple of times. Both of them live in Estes Park, and they're both wanting to do the uh, parade and stuff like that. But both of them emailed me, and well, Al emailed me. Bill doesn't do anything electronic, so um, they both want to be. For those of you that were able to attend the services for Dick Life up in Estes Park, we did what's called an honor reading. And I think, Myra, you were the one that kind of put that all together for us. And he was so impressed with it that he wanted to make sure that I attend his services when he passes so that we can do the honor reading for him. And Bill Allen said the same thing. He wants to have his name put on the list so that we can do his services. No, nothing so far, but so it's a pretty nice gesture that we do for them, and we do a final salute for each one of the members, and we give them a certificate of an Eternal Control certificate from the national. So does anybody remember we need to have any input to Jeff for the newsletter? It has to be in by June 15th, 14th. If you don't have your Eternal Patrol cards, I got them up here. Business cards are right here. Wear your hat when you're out in public. Multiple times I've had some vets come to me and say, hey, I'm on that, and if you hand them a card, my cards, I have my name on phone number and an email on the back of the card. Give it to them, and if you can, get their contact information. We've had several in the last month, probably 5 or 6. Andy sent me some. I got a couple more from people, but all of them have been a bust. Nobody was interested. Does anybody else have anything for the good of the order? Yes, John.
So, I was in California the last 3 months, and all the eels, Vietnam War.
Yeah, just on the traveling wall, right? There is. There's several.
I try my best to make the best of that. I tried to come to the 12 fish base, but the council been reading that Saturday.
Oh,
It makes it a little difficult because in Northern California, they meet in Chico, Red Bluff, Anderson, and doing this meeting in Denver, this is not reading every week, it's so. I did get another World War II memorial visit while I was in Hawaii.
and if you follow us on Facebook, everything that John has done recently, this is like the second memorial in the last 2 months or so, isn't it?
Yeah, Wyoming, Nevada,
Yeah.
Utah.
And they've all been posted on our Facebook page. You've been good enough to send all that information to Patrick. Anything else for the good of the order?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
We talked a little bit about the Memorial Day Parade. Is anybody interested in doing the Memorial Day Parade?
You mean City of Aurora?
Well, that's the only one I know of so far.
I can look into it for next year. It's already gone and done and gone, right? I know. So if you like what I set up for Colorado Remembers next year, I'll ask them about the parade. Yes, ma'am.
We have a parade for Veterans Day in November.
We do not. What we do for that whole week is when the school district of City of Aurora has all of their functions for military and veterans. And we like to go to the schools and do talks, and they feed us breakfast and all sorts of neat stuff. Mission of Viejo is what's called a Purple Heart School, I believe is what they call it. And they hold a big event every year during that time period. But I don't know of any place that does a Veterans Parade. You have one in mind? Denver? Do they charge for us to get in there? Probably. I think that was the one drawback is that they charge. Yeah, our funds are not to handle something like that.
Well, once you're up again, then the parade, even you're right behind a horse.
Okay, they're ringing.
Say something,
We met with Henry Jones. He came by our float last Saturday. I asked him some questions. They raised about $210,000 that will do about 3 or 4 flights, and so they did an extra one this year. So they did 4 of them. And I asked him. I said I'd signed up about a year ago, and he said we're getting close to the people that signed up a year ago, and so maybe you and I are looking April, May timeframe, something like that. That's something, if you haven't signed up for the honor flight, it's called Rocky Mountain Honor Flight Foundation. Just Google it, go onto the website, sign up for it. They're doing Korean War veterans and Vietnam War veterans, which most of us are. And it's awesome. Dale went last year, and it's a once in a lifetime experience. Yes. Yes, there's 2 of them. You want to do the Rocky Mountain Honor Flight. It's a 3-day, 2 nights. The other one is 24 hours. You fly out, you go around, and you fly back. And so it's pretty intense, and so it's not really enjoyable. Anything else for the good of the order? Let's do the 50-50. Horn.
Yeah, I'm ready.
What? That's all right. I still got 2 more minutes. Okay, who is the poll?
Can be sick. Please.
Name on the back. And
last 10.
Lab 3. We're in lab 3. Oh, there we go. Tom got it. So who won? Tom? Tom won. How much? $53. Yeah. Okay. So let's now leave this quiet and tranquil life that we know in the deep and return to reality and service. Service. Please stand for the benediction.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for a good meeting, for the fellowship, the food, the flexibility, and the opportunity to serve in new ways this month. Guide us, strengthen us, comfort us more, and inspire those who rejoice. We pray this in the name of the Supreme Commander, our Savior and Lord. Amen. What we're dismissed.
We need assistance in taking back the internal control stuff. All the chairs and tables can stay where they're at. We just need to get things going.